Hey guys, this is Nikki Rowland and I have a new layout today for Scrap Academy. So this term we're focusing on mixed media, and this week we're looking at using inexpensive supplies instead of expensive ones for your mixed media layouts. So you don't have to have really expensive loads and loads of stash of loads of inks and paints and things. You can do, but you don't have to in order to get a mixed media effect. So what I'm using today is a palette of watercolors. They are hard watercolor paints, so like little cakes, and these cost me a grand total of £5. So yeah, you can't get a great deal cheaper than that. When I haven't used them for a while actually, but when I was using them, I was thinking I can literally do everything I need to do using these. So it's a really great little thing to get your hands on. I got mine from Hobbycraft, I believe, but they do sell. There are other versions that you can get too. And what I'm doing is I'm just using some water. I have a jar of water off to the side, and I just putting some water on my paintbrush, putting the water onto the paint palette or the paint cake that I want to use. So I'm effectively mixing up the surface of the paint, kind of activating it, and you get a colourful liquid. I then just put that onto a piece of packaging, which is just a piece of cellophane from an embellishment pack, and then I make sure it's wet enough, and sometimes I just use a water spritz bottle, or other times I just dip my paintbrush into my water jar and put it onto the packaging too. So then when my paint is kind of runny enough, then I turn it over and smoosh it onto my background. This is also known as the packaging technique, which lots and lots and lots of crafters use. I use it loads and loads, and you can do it with watercolors, you can do it with ink, you can do it with other types of paints and sprays as well, but it works really well for almost any medium really, or anything really, but I say I'm using it with these watercolor paints today, and you can see that I have a really great colourful watercolor effect going on there, and yeah, so and now what I'm doing is I'm just adding some more colour to that area that I just did. It wasn't it was a bit faint, so I've just gone in with my paintbrush and literally painted on there. I've then put my packaging over the top so that I get the same type of effect on all of the colours that I've used. I've also taken my paintbrush and excess paint, and I've flicked it onto the page to get some paint splatters. You really can't get more simple than something like this. Those watercolor paints there are absolutely perfect to create a background, and like I said, there's loads of colours on that one, and then of course you can mix colours too. So if you weren't happy with one, you could change it slightly to get different colours. I mean, there's such a variety there. You don't need to mix that many, to be honest. You can probably make do with what there is, but if you did want to, you could. Yeah, so I would highly recommend getting yourself a pack of these if you do want to experiment with mixed media, but you don't want to make a big investment. £5 will definitely do you in good stead. You will definitely be able to create great mixed media layouts just with a pack of these watercolors. Like I said, you can get them from various places. You can get much better quality watercolors. These are obviously at £5 price point, not high quality, but they definitely do the job. And you can see from my layout that actually it doesn't look that much different to the expensive paint that I use. You can probably pick them up at the supermarket or any art supply place. Certainly you'll be able to get something similar on Amazon, and yeah, so shop around and see if you can get the best price, but definitely if you want to try out mixed media but aren't quite sure where to start, this is a great place to start. Okay, so my layout's fairly dry now. I'm just going to arrange my photo and some layers onto my page. So what I want to achieve here is kind of a colour on colour. You saw the very colourful splash that I put in the background, consisting of greens and pinks. So I'm going to try and arrange my embellishments and things onto so that the colour they are goes over the mixed media colour that's on the background. So it's called colour on colour or tone on tone. So I like to do that. I'm going to attempt to do that. So you can see there that I have I've basically faffed around for about half an hour trying to work out how I could arrange all of these different elements, because I had lots of elements going on here, and I have just arranged them and stuck them all down. And now I'm just going to come in with some last bits and pieces and kind of finish off this layout. Now, one of the other things to remember about using mixed media on your background is that you need to make your mixed media big enough so that it will show behind your photo and all your embellishments. That is a mistake I make a lot. Because I have a heavy style, I put lots of things onto my layouts, I do get carried away and I regularly completely cover up the mixed media that I've spent ages creating. So just a little tip there, point to note, don't be upset if you do cover it up. Sometimes actually mixed media doesn't come into its own until you've got all of the other things on top of it, and you can always add more. So you'll see that I will add some more in a bit, because the pink bit at the top is gone, and I haven't got much light blue showing bottom left either, sorry, bottom right, so I'm going to need to extend that in some way, so I will deal with that later on, but this is definitely a common problem for me. So all these layers of paper and little cards that I've got on here are from the Lollipop Box Club. I'm working on a month behind, so I think it's the July kit that I'm using there. I'm still using tropical photos because we actually managed to get away on holiday, hooray! So I'm using my holiday photos to scrapbook today. So I've got a photo of my daughter in a flamingo floaty, and the Lollipop Box Club that month had lots of flamingos in, and pinks and greens, so it was perfect. So I've just arranged all of those bits on the page, stuck them down with my photo. The title is fussy cut from a sheet of words. I've got 4 rosettes on the page. They are by Crepe Paper, and they were last year, Sunny Days, so I am stash busting here, getting those used up. They're great colours. I've just added a little string bow that was from the Lollipop Box Club again, and here I am extending my mixed media. So this pink section, definitely not very pink, so I'm coming in with my paintbrush and the same colour I used earlier, and I'm just dabbing some extra colour into some areas. Now I've already stuck all my photo and embellishments down, so I then can't really add my cellophane over the top, but that's what I would normally do, is if I was adding some colour, I would then put my piece of packaging over the top so that I get the same effect. So it wasn't quite perfect, but it's fine, it's really not bad. And also coming in with the same colours again and adding more splatters. And I'd already added splatters before, but by adding them now that everything is in place, I have extended the areas where it needed extending. So where you couldn't see the mixed media so well, now I have fixed that by adding a whole bunch of splatters. So that is, always think that, you know, well, with mixed media it can be frustrating because you need to wait for it to dry. That's definitely something that annoys me, but you could use a heat tool, or you could just wait, and if you're using watercolors like this, they do dry extremely quickly. But my point is, don't be scared that just because you've applied mixed media, waited for it to dry, made your layout, don't be frightened to then add more mixed media at the end. It doesn't matter that it's then going to be wet again, although I would advise that you do your journaling before you do any more splatters. That's something that I always get wrong. Okay, so I decided that I wanted to add a border to this layout. It's bright and tropical, and I had this Dear Lizzie paper, you can see it just under there, that was pinks and greens and blues and all the colours basically that were in my layout. So I decided to trim my layout down, distress the edges, and then stick it onto a background. I stuck with I normally gut the background, but I thought I would keep a whole sheet because this layout was a little bit warped because I've added quite a lot of colour, watercolour. So I have stuck the middle of the background down, and then I have raised up the edges of the background on foam pad so I get a bit of dimension going on there. Okay, so just finishing off now with, I wrote my journaling in at the card above my photo. and then I'm now finishing off with some sequins. So I have these Spiegelmum scrap sequins that were from a kit that I got. I think it's called Flamingo Bay. Anyway, it has flamingos in, and it has pinks and it has greens. So I thought I would what's the word I'm looking for? Sprinkle some sequins over either side of my layout in the right colours, and that is me done. So definitely check out the watercolour cakes and see if you can get a palette and pick one up for a cheap price. And really good luck to you if you're just starting out with mixed media. I really hope that I can inspire you. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. That was Nikki Rowland for Scrap Academy.